evening, everybody. So nice to see you lovely people. Just noticed I've got some floof on top of my hair. But I hope you all had a great day. It is a wonderful Monday night and we are about to chat with an amazing LOHY friend. Her name is Sharon and I am going to just try and figure out, beautiful, that's okay. Anyway, we've got a beautiful lady, Sharon, who is going to come and hang out online with me. And I'm going to interview her a little bit. I'm going to allow space for you guys to ask questions. And we are going to have a little bit more of a wholesome hangout. Hey, Miriam, my beautiful sister's joined. And have a little bit more of a wholesome chat about maybe quite a sensitive topic, but also a very real one. And it's not really my story to share. So hopefully Sharon will join with me soon. Here we go. 1 second. Yes. Welcome, Sharon.
Thank you. I had to go in and give access to the microphone, and then there was nothing to accept. So sorry.
That's okay. We're all technologically challenged to some degree. So you're wonderful. Well, everybody, I'd like to introduce you to a very beautiful customer of ours. We've never officially talked on the phone.
No.
We've messaged a lot, and I don't know how long ago or how early on the journey of Yes Hair that you came on board as a customer.
It was the end of 2021.
Wow.
Because
that's early on.
Yeah, that's when I sort of discovered that I had potentially curly hair.
Yeah.
I think it was in our last lockdown here in ACT. And yeah, I just sort of, I don't know, it had been coming up. I've got a friend who's been doing it for many, many years. And yeah, things were coming up and I thought, I wonder, I get really humidity hair, really frizzy hair and everything. And yeah, so sort of decided to start doing that. And then that's how I found you guys. So.
Amazing. Well, I have a few fun questions to get us going.
Okay.
And then I'm going to just kind of let you share a little bit about your journey. And I've been really inspired by watching Sharon's life since meeting her online in this weird virtual world that we get to make friends.
Yeah.
And I love it. But question for you, Sharon.
Mm-hmm.
What is the most favorite place that you've ever visited?
I love Fiji. Easy, quick to get to, super relaxed, love the people. But I think if I really was able to just endlessly go back somewhere, it would be Japan.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we cruised around Japan early 2019.
Yeah.
And spent a little bit of time there. Our best friend's uncle has married a Japanese lady and has been living over there for many years, so we sort of had them able to sort of take us around Tokyo and everything as well. And I just loved it. I love the vibe there. I love the fact that they have these really weird quirky rules, but everybody abides by them. Everything just runs so smoothly and just so respectful and everything. Loved it.
What's your favorite product in the LOHY Yes range? Drench and Quench.
Seriously, when I first used this, I was just amazed at how thick. Like when I was, squelching,
squishing
it in. I was just amazed how thick it made my hair feel, and then visibly and afterwards as well. Like I could really tell that it had really sort of helped to give more body to my hair, but. Yeah, I have to stop myself using. Actually, like to use this as a conditioner.
Yeah,
so I'll co-wash yeah, so I'll co-wash with the conditioner, and then I'll put a little bit of this on. But I'm a bit scared that I might go a bit gung-ho on my hair, or just sort of get too soft and too drenched and quenched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, a question for you back from the archives. There are photos around of when you started to grow out your natural grey hair colour.
Yes.
So at what point did you decide that you wanted to embrace your silver beauty? And how did you go about growing out your grey, your artificial colour, and embracing your grey?
Okay, so that was the end of 2018. So I turned 50 in 2018, and had started to see a lot of women on Instagram, and had made connections with these women, who had long embraced their grey hair. Yeah. And I was 4 weeks on, to the day for many years getting my hair coloured. And it was around November, December, and I was getting really busy. I was doing a lot of promotional modeling stuff, so I was doing, champagne Christmas, events and different things like this. And anyway, I had so much of that work coming in that got in the way of my appointment. So, I said to my hairdresser, look, can we move it? And she was just absolutely chockers, of course, coming up to Christmas. And she said, no, there was no way. We were going away just after Christmas. And I thought, oh, you know what? Stuff it. I had a long ponytail extension. So I thought I'll just pull it all back, put a little bit of, the mascara type, color in and everything. Yeah, the spray, put that in, wore the ponytail to, some of these events. And then while we were away, we were away over New Year's. And I was just sitting there in bed, wild New Year's Eve, sitting there in bed on Norfolk Island. My husband was watching cricket or something. I just walked out and I said, I'm done. I'm going to go grey. And of course, it didn't bother him, at all. But so that's when I decided, was actually December 31st, 2018. So when we got back, by the time we got back, like seriously, it had only been about 7 weeks by the time I'd had my last colour, and I had about that much regrowth. Like my hair grows fairly quickly, thank goodness. And I had massive patches of the really, really bright silver in here that I've always had. And so she stripped the colour. So we did do a strip down, and then we used toners for a while. So we stripped twice. We stripped the colour because it was relatively dark brown at the time. So we did that. We did toners. She didn't want to overtone. She didn't want to tone too much because she did say it would turn my hair muddy. So essentially, I would leave it unless I had a modelling job. And when I had a modelling job, I'd go in and I'd get the toner put in. And so we were doing that for almost 2 years before I lost it all to chemo. But so I was a couple of years in. Like I had good, like I had really sort of fit, mostly down. If I had a really short haircut, it would have been all great. But my hair was, as you know, it was quite long at the time. So
amazing. And was there any points where you almost went back to colouring your hair, Sharon?
No, not at all. Not at all. I think because of the way we did it, if I hadn't have done the strip of the colour, it would have been really, really sort of hard to deal with. But my hairdresser at the time, she just did a good job at being able to really sort of blend it in and, sort of cut it so that it just sort of worked as well. So no, never. And then even after I'd lost my hair to chemo last year, like my biggest concern when I went to get a wig, which I just got for shits and giggles. I didn't. I mean, I was quite happy to be bald, like in the end. But I went to the Cancer Council, which is actually lovely because I'm now their wig ambassador. So, but when I went in, I was really concerned that I wanted grey. I didn't want a colour, and I thought, oh gosh, I'm going to go in and I'm going to get these, real old nannery style grey wigs. And the silver bob came up, and then the big Marilyn, what we call it, a Marilyn sort of type thing. So I was absolutely blown away. So I really, really wanted to keep my grey. I have absolutely no desire to go any other colour than what it is.
It's amazing. So inspiring. And I hope that offers some source of encouragement if someone's sitting on the fence about growing out their natural color. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, you know, I mean, you know, women say, oh, it's liberating, etc., etc., and I don't know liberating, but it's so nice not to have to go to the hairdresser every 4 weeks, and it's so nice not to have to pay more and more and more money every time, you know. And my hair's, it's natural. It's, especially now that it's grown back after chemo. Like, this is all you know, this is virgin hair, you know, like, so this is absolutely fantastic. And when you look at it, and other women that I know, you know, when we sort of go back over old photos, it's like, oh, I thought I liked that color, or what was I thinking? You know, that didn't suit me at all. Or, like, you know, you could tell it was an artificial color, as good as we thought it looked at the time. When
it really
you reflect
wasn't
back,
the most
it
flattering.
wasn't.
Yeah.
No, and that's it. Like, we're meant to go grey, you know. We are meant, well, most of us anyway, you know, like, and it just changes, you know, your skin tone changes, eyebrows, eyelashes, and everything. So to fight it almost isn't really doing ourselves justice, I think. So yeah.
Amazing. Well, you've kind of touched on a little bit about when you got the final grow out of your natural, your artificial color. But maybe it would be lovely just, I know cancer's affected my mum twice. She's had breast cancer twice and lost her hair. And the journey of the grow out and the diagnosis and the living with chemo and all the treatment. I'd just love to hear a bit of your story. And as a woman, as someone that then all of a sudden had no hair identity, how did you process all of that, and kind of, as much as you're happy to share with us?
Yeah, of course. So when I actually found the lump in my neck when I was doing my skincare one night, and it was not there that morning, you know, like, it was bizarre how big and how quickly it came up. So I was very lucky. I basically walked out of the bathroom, sat on the bed, made an appointment to see my GP the next day. And he examined me and he said, I think you have lymphoma. Like, straight up. And he called the hematologist while I was in the rooms. So I was very, very lucky that I got onto it very, very quickly, and everything just sort of, you know, like, really was quite fast tracked. I did end up having to have 3 biopsies because they were inconclusive as to the type of lymphoma that I had. So in the end, they actually removed the tumor, or the tumor on the gland, and the slice biopsy was the definitive one. So then they knew how to do the treatment. So I was very lucky that I was classified as under 50 for the treatment. So the hematologist said, you know, we draw a line in the sand, and that sand is unfortunately 50. He said, and if you are under 50, we treat you one way, and if you're over 50, we treat you another way.
Wow.
But he went to, you know, to the cohort here in Canberra and presented my case and all of my blood work and, you know, scans, etc., plus my lifestyle. You know, I mean, I'm a fitness instructor and what I was doing at the time. And they all agreed that he would be doing the right thing to treat me as if I was under 50. So that meant shorter but more aggressive treatment. So instead of having 6 to 9 months of chemo, I only had 3 months of chemo. I then had 15 sessions of radiation instead of, you know, about 30 sessions of radiation. So I was, in a way, I was spared the length of time, but they went in fairly, you know, fairly aggressively. But I have to say, like, I really, really coped with it. Compared to a lot of other people, like, I sailed through. As hard as it was, I sailed through. But so we go in and have an education session with the nurse, and I had people, you know, who I had told, and they were saying, oh, you know, if, you know, like, you can try this cold cap therapy and you won't lose your hair, you know, like, you know, I had a friend who XYZ, or, you know, all of this stuff. So I was researching it, and it kept coming up that lymphoma was not one that they suggested that you use it for, because lymphomas are like a blood-borne cancer, you know, like, it's a oh gosh, I can't think of it now. Oh, what's the word? You know, auto, like your immune system, like, it's basically Anyway, so I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, oh, I don't know if this is going to work. Anyway, the education session with the nurse, I asked her about it, and she said, oh no, she said, we're not going to bother with anything like that. She said, you will be guaranteed between day 10 and 13 to start losing your hair after your first
Oh my
infusion.
God.
And I was like, I was just devastated because, I mean, I was, as I said, a couple of years into my grey transition. I was, had this massive profile on Instagram.
Yeah,
My
modeling. Yeah.
my agencies really promoted the fact that I was, grey, silver hair, whatever you wanted to call it. So I really had an identity really built around my hair.
Yeah. And like, I would honestly say, like, it was just so striking, and that's what kind of really drew me to connect with you. And
like the way that silver really everything. So that was the hardest thing, probably harder to get my head around than the fact that I had to go through chemo and radiation. It was the fact I was definitely going to lose my hair. Anyway, so what I did was I thought, if it's going to go, it's going to go on my terms. And a lot of people do that. You hear a lot of people do that. So I have 10 grandchildren, and 8 of them were capable of holding scissors at the time. So my daughter just gave me all these little ponytails, and they all cut a ponytail of hair off for me, and we videoed it. And it's absolutely lovely. And every now and then I do look back at it. And I had such...
What, we're all going to start crying now?
And I don't want to, but I had such positive feedback on this video and it was just absolutely lovely. Anyway, so the kids gave me a really great haircut. Actually, my daughter just tidied up the back of it a little bit. We dyed it pink. And so, I went into my first chemo with, this pink short sort of Lucille Ball sort of style, because I'd had, the curls had started to come through and everything, so I went in my first chemo with that. And I got to about, I think it was about day 11 or 12. And I was like, I haven't lost any hair yet. She didn't know what she was talking about, And I was sitting at the back watching the grandsons on the trampoline, and I sort of rubbed my hair, and I was like, oh, wow. Like, it had started to come out that afternoon. So I called them over, and again, I videoed, and in this video, one of my grandsons, it was like he pulled a weed. He just like pulled this clump of hair out of my head. So she was 100% right. It came out between day 10 and day 13. Wow. So again, I wasn't going to, and like it was getting wild. It was getting wiry. Like I would wake up and it was like just sticking up everywhere. So then I had my mum, my mother-in-law, my husband, my son and daughter-in-law, and that I had them shave it for me. So we sort of I had the 2 generations, like sort of come through, actually more than 2 generations. But yeah, so everybody in my family played a role in me losing it, which was just great because they had buy-in to it, I think, because the grandkids, they would always, say, oh, have you still got cancer, or, you're still on chemo, where's your hair? You know, and because then when I did get into remission, the first thing that the twins kept saying was, like, where's your hair? If you've got no cancer, where's your hair? It's like, well, it's got to grow. It's got to grow. I shaved it twice when it did start to grow back. Both of them for modelling jobs. So I did I do lingerie work with a photographer here in Canberra, and she wanted to do one with me completely bald. So we shaved as it had started to come back. And then I actually did some filming for the Gruen transfer, and they actually cast me in the role of a mother, obviously with cancer. So again, they wanted me completely bald. So I did the 2 shaves, and it was the best thing I ever did. And it came back in even. And so the growth came back really well. And my cousin, who had been through her own treatments and finished about 12 months prior to me starting, she said she regretted not shaving her head. So, after she'd sort of said that, and I'd shaved it a couple of times, I will say to anybody, absolutely anybody who has lost hair or is going to lose hair through chemo, when it comes back, as exciting as it is, shave it once or twice, and then you're going to get good, even, much thicker growth. Yeah.
So what was the hair like when it grew back, Sharon?
It was
like
great.
Before you shaved it.
So before I'd shaved it, like little kiwi fruit. Like it's like, you know, little, and when I look at the photo, I've got a photo of me sitting in the barber's chair, you know, and I look and I'm like, oh, that's not hair. That's, you know, that's not hair. You can just see how fine and almost feathery it was. So really, I think, yeah, really trying to hang on to that would not have been the best thing anyway. So yeah, it's very fine. I wouldn't say it's patchy necessarily, but very, very fine and almost fluffy. So
Yeah,
it's really,
because
it's
I
not worth it.
think when I think about it as a
Yeah,
hairdresser, it would be the tip of the strand growing through, so it wouldn't be a blunt edge either.
no, exactly,
Um,
exactly.
yeah,
Yes, yeah, exactly. Whereas when you do that shave, you've got that blunt edge, so it does come in much
cooler.
better. And like I really did contemplate when it started to come in. I absolutely loved when it was probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 millimeters long, like because it just was a super, super harsh crop. And I had so many compliments. You know, I'd walk into a shop and, you know, women would be like, oh, I love your hair. I would never be brave enough to wear it like that, you know. And sometimes I'd say, look, I had no choice. It's growing back. And other times I'd be like, oh, yeah.
Thank you.
It's amazing. Yeah, exactly. It's amazing the amount of women who thought that I had done it on purpose, who thought I'd cut it that short on purpose. So it clearly suited me,
Yeah.
but it's not what I wanted. It's not what I wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier that you're now the ambassador for the Cancer Council
Cancer
Week.
Council.
Yes. So tell us a
Yeah.
bit about that.
Yeah. So when I contacted them, I had started to look at a few wigs because I was going for castings for modeling jobs and everything. And it's like, well, I was bald, you know, like there's no denying it. It was, you know, I'm big, you know, I'm not petite, you know, this big tall woman, you know, with this bald head. And I just sort of thought, oh, maybe if I had hair, you know, I might be able to get, you know, a couple of different jobs or whatever it is. So I was looking online and I thought, I have no idea what I'm going to buy. I don't know what the quality is going to like. I didn't want to spend a lot of money because I knew it was going to
It's a
come back. And
thing.
yeah, and so I just contacted the Cancer Council and they got back to me the next day. And then the following day I was in having my appointment and I was just blown away. I was basically in a hair salon. Like it was, I thought I'd just be walking in and looking at these shelves of a couple of daggy wigs. And I walked in, it was a private room, sun-filled, white, big mirror table. You know, the wigs were, you know, lined up, you know, and put up on, the heads and everything like that. And
Yeah.
it was such a wonderful experience. I was completely taken by surprise. And the fact that I said, okay, I want grey. I want a grey wig. And when she was looking at them and, because we weren't looking at the mirror when she was putting them on. And when she put this, this silver bob on me, because she showed me and I'm like, oh, I don't know. My sister wears a bob. Oh, I don't know. I don't think, and it's big, heavy fringe. I'm like, no, I don't think so. She said, please let me try it on. Yep. Anyway, she tried it on and the look on her face.
Wow.
It was just amazing, and I was like, oh, okay. She's like, oh, it's just, I love it. And I turned around and I was like, oh my God, I love it. Yeah. Absolutely loved it. So the whole experience was wonderful.
Yeah.
And because they had, been through COVID lockdowns and, things like that, they were at a stage where they wanted to reinvigorate the program anyway. And they knew I had the modelling background and everything. So, yeah, so they just asked if I wanted to be an ambassador for the wig program. Wow. So, yeah, of course I said yes, absolutely, because knowing that it completely took me by surprise. Yeah, and I will, tell anybody, tell anybody about it, and it's just absolutely fantastic service. And the fact that you get a free wig, I didn't have to pay for it. Like you pay for the second one or third one if you want, but it's a very small amount of money. The Snow Foundation here in Canberra, anyway, Snow Foundation, they sponsor the program. So it's one of those things that here I am looking, thinking, do I spend $300? Do I spend $1,000? Do I spend $50?
Yeah.
And I paid nothing and got a fantastic wig and just this wonderful, wonderful service. So
that's incredible.
Yeah. That was pretty cool. So we had a bit of fun though with the photo shoot that we did for their marketing. And they did put me in this really dark sort of, I'm going to say almost chestnut, super crazy curly longer wig, because I do laugh at it and I just sort of think like the colour really is not me because it was so dark.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at the curls and I'm going,
Oh, I don't mind that style.
Yeah, maybe. Because I'd only really discovered that it was curly about 3 months before I lost it
Wow.
as well. So,
So, so did you ever have curly, fluffy-ish hair?
no, and see, this is a hard thing. When people say to me, was it curly before? Well, yes, but only for a couple of months. So I'd always had dead straight hair. Like when I was younger, like you look at any photo and it could not have been any more straight.
Wow.
And then when I sort of do look back over other photos, when I was sort of going through perimenopause and whatever, like humidity, like, I just would, it was the brunt of the joke, my hair, I'd go somewhere to be sleek. And as soon as I hit humidity, it just go, yes, which is apparently a sign that you could potentially have curly hair. Really nobody in my family, my paternal grandmother had sort of wavyish, curlyish type hair, very similar actually style. I laugh when I look at it at the moment. I'm like, I just look like my nan. But yes, she was probably the only one that I think actually had curls. I do have an indigenous heritage.
Yeah.
I'm sixth generation Indigenous.
Yeah.
I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not, but no, like it was, as I said, it was just through lockdown. And it was just like, I'd been reading about it and thought, let's give it a crack. And like within days, I was like, who am I? Like, what is this? It's insane. But of course, it was very long. It was, like almost chest length hair too, so working with it is completely different to what I'm working with now. I have never, ever had to work with anything like this before. This is totally new territory. Oh, yeah.
And I just had a question. It just left my brain. Okay, I'll go back to my notes. So what has been your biggest encouragement on your health journey and kind of what you've gone through in the last few years?
Do you mean like me, like personally, or people, or?
I think like often I think I say this in the kindest way possible, but people say dumb stuff all the time.
Yeah.
No, like they just don't know what to say to people that are going through a really serious health condition.
True.
And I think as someone who's probably said some dumb stuff to people before, it's really nice to know what has been some really nice things that have been spoken to you or encouraged you throughout your journey when you weren't feeling bright and optimistic.
Look, it's hard because I was always bright and optimistic about it myself.
Wow.
I never really feared that anything terrible was going to happen. And I think a lot of that was through the confidence of my hematologist. And also one of my grandsons, when I was telling them all that I had cancer, and I said, but it's not going to kill me. Like, it's just going to make me really, really sick. I said, and it's not even making me sick. It's the treatment that's going to make me really, really sick, And he said, oh, so it's really weak cancer. I said, yeah, okay, yeah, it's a really weak cancer. He said, and you're strong because, like you do the gym and stuff like this, and you're strong. So like, this is a kid who was, I think, eight going on 9, when I told him. He said, so it's a weak cancer and you're strong. And that actually became my mantra every morning. And every night, I would drink I would have to force myself to drink after I'd started chemo, drink this water, and I would just go through, my mind is strong, my body is strong, my cancer is weak, I am strong. And that was it. So really, it actually, probably, if anything, that came from one of my grandchildren. But Instagram, not Facebook, more so Instagram. I started up a secondary page, and it's just amazing, little network that we sort of, built. There were people going through the same as me, different cancers, but at the same time. And sort of, just being able to support each other through that was really nice. And then have them share some of the dumb things that was said or whatever, and we were able to sort of encourage each other too, on those really fairly crappy days that we had, just to help each other sort of out of the hole, because you do get into a hole when you're on chemo. Like it's pretty average.
It's a long season too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, one last deep question and then something silly. So what do you know now that you wish you had known at the start of this whole, the night before you applied your skincare to your neck?
Oh.
I'm throwing the deep ones in on you, Sharon.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know, actually. That's You didn't give me a heads up on this one.
I didn't give you this one. I just wanted to put this one on the fly.
Okay. I wish I knew. Oh, I don't know, actually. That's a really weird one.
I think like just even hearing, I mean, I've watched your journey through your chemo and everything, and seeing, I think talking to you and realizing this is just exactly the person that I see on Instagram. You just have this positive, beautiful outlook on life.
Yeah.
And I think there's probably not much more glass full that you could see the world through the eyes of, in a way.
Yeah, very true, very true. There were little things, like I don't know, I sort of can't really say that that there was anything I wish I'd sort of known, because I'm very in tune with my body, but which is why when I found this, it was like, whoa, and I got it very early, very early. You know, I had no other symptoms. But I think maybe I undersold my family. Maybe I sort of, they really surprised me, I mean, my daughter and I, we've always been close and everything, and really so it has my son. But he sort of took me by surprise a little bit, I would get extra, well, when it was safe to, like, because when you're on chemo, you're not allowed around germs and stuff like that. But, he'd just, he'd give me cuddles, and hold me a little bit longer and everything like that. And I think that was nice, that I've become a little bit more emotionally connected to my son through this. My husband took the time off work and just was basically around the whole time that I was, taking it, because I kept saying, well, you go to work. I don't need you. And he's like, no, I'm here in case you need me. I'm here in case you need, like he was just there in case I needed him. So that was really nice, just sort of having them around, my daughter's partner, like he'd give me a little look every now and then, and it was just like, oh, just like those little subtle things, my son's fiance, she quite often cuddles me and everything like that, but she was always, checking in on me and making sure everything was okay and looking after me. So, maybe I undersold them a little bit.
Wow, that's beautiful.
A bit by surprise, yeah.
Okay, so now off the deep and meaningfuls and on to something else. So talk us through just quickly, what do you do to style your growing out hair at the moment? And is it like, do you have to, because some people find short hair more problematic, as in there's not as much length and weight to a curl. So maybe just walk us through some tips that you have in managing short, curly as you're growing it out.
Well, I think you're overselling it by saying style my hair. It's it's awkward. It is really awkward, particularly because I know what it was like when I was trying to get the long curls and everything too, so vastly different. My hair, when the curls sort of first started to come in, it was great. It was really fairly easy, and it sort of comes and goes in waves. I've got to say, I probably have 2 or 3 weeks where it's pretty easy, and it sort of does sort of what I want it to do, and then it goes through a stage where it just does nothing and it just looks like crap. What I do find is I have to do a complete refresh every day. I can't just do a quick spritz. I have to wet my hair every day. And if I don't have the time to do that, it just looks like rubbish. And I mean, and nobody wants their hair to look like rubbish.
No, it's not
but yeah, so it's a full wet down. I have to set it, so I will use the diffuser and set it before I attempt to go anywhere. Otherwise, it because it's getting longer here on top, it's starting to drop a little bit. And I have these weird little
ringlets. They're gorgeous.
And they're sort of like when I pull, I've actually twisted them together for tonight, but there's like 3 of them, and they just like hang. See, I can't seem to get them any tighter, but I also don't want to pull them out.
No,
but
no, they're quite beautiful there.
The day, and Megan, I'm so sorry, my hairdresser Megan, if you're watching, I actually got the nail scissors and I actually trimmed, because I've been going to a girl who deals with curly hair.
Yeah.
Oh God, no, that wasn't her. That might have been her that just come in. And she's actually cut. I've actually had 3 haircuts at the back since it's been growing back in. So she's been cutting the back to balance. Otherwise, as she said, look, if you want to rock a mullet, rock it. But
otherwise, that will all just grow down.
Yes. So she's actually done 3 cuts in there, but nothing on top. And, because I said to her, am I going to need a trim at some point soon? And she said, look, your hair will tell you when you need a trim. And the other night I was just sort of looking, and these curlies, they just seem to get really fuzzy on the end. And I thought, I'd been on a different curly Facebook group, and girls talking about cutting their own hair. And I was like, how do you do that? And I thought, you know what? I've actually got these like 3 little curls here, and I took the smallest amount off, and straight away I was like, wow, what a difference. Taking like a bare millimetre off, like just getting rid of the fuzzy end. So that was a big thing. But so what I sort of discovered is I don't really have a part.
Yes.
And I think that's when it's shorter, unless you've got, I'm going to say anyway, I'm assuming, unless you've got really tight or coily hair.
Yeah.
I think that if I was to try and get a definite part, I'd have this really, really flat bit here. Oh. So I just sort of mow it around a little bit as sort of stuck around there a little bit. For many years, the ironic thing is, for many years when it was straight, this is where my part was.
On the opposite side.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, and there's absolutely no way that it would stay there.
No.
Stay there. Yeah. But so anyway, so I have to do a full refresh every morning.
Yeah.
And the scrunching is different than when it was longer. When it was longer, you could cup it in there and you could, sort of bring it up and scrunch. Like I don't have anything to sort of really scrunch in. I'm starting to get a little bit around here. It is starting to come down longer. So it's sort of like a very mini version.
Yeah.
But I think because it's so short, you've got to be careful not to disrupt it.
Ease it. Yes.
Yeah. So it's sort of like a real, just the tiniest little pulse, whereas when it was longer, I think I could be more aggressive in the pulse.
Yeah.
So, there's that. I still play around with the products. I'm hot and cold on the Chutzpah, I've got to say.
That's okay.
Hot and cold on that. Yeah, even though we've had a conversation, about emulsifying it and everything like that. I can emulsify it until it's like thick foamy, and I don't know, sometimes I put it on, I'm like, no, it's not my thing. And then other times I put it on, I'm like, oh, it's done fairly well.
It's the right thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really, really a little bit weird. But it's and then of course once you've got the set, to scrunch it.
Yeah.
I basically beat myself around the head.
Oh, that's
because again,
great.
You know what I mean? Like I do, and I do it in the car. So if anybody ever, like,
they probably think you're a mad woman in a car.
Like this mad woman's slapping herself around the head. Because again, if I go to scrunch, it's because it's short. I think it gets too disrupted too easily, and particularly, look, I wouldn't know what the back looks like.
That's really
because
lovely.
It's really started to grow, but it's growing out, so it's fairly, sort of growing out there a little bit. But anyway, I mean, I want it long. I would like to try and get about this length.
Yeah,
Yeah,
lovely.
bob style. It just feels like this is going to take forever because the longer it grows, the tighter it gets. Like, so that is
Quite long.
yeah. So that's May, June. It's about 13, 14 months growth.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So it does grow a lot. Yeah, but it's just awkward. A
But
little bit
yeah,
awkward.
it's more finessing in shorter curls.
Yeah, yeah. And it's weird because I don't know what they're going to look like. I don't know if they're going to be like ringlets
Yeah.
or just loose curls. I don't know if they're going to be wavy like it was when it was really long.
Yeah.
You know, so it really is an unknown for me.
Yeah.
And you know, like, and it's also what is really, really frustrating is, you know, you try to look up how to you know, do your style and everything with short curly hair. Very few curl influencers have short hair. They've got
Short,
long hair.
yeah.
They've got big hair. You know, they've got the goods. They've got it going on because visually it looks wonderful. So everybody's going to follow them. So trying to find somebody, and of course, then when you do go short, they might have a bob. Or it
Yeah.
might be, you know, and then you look for pixie, and it's like, oh, that's not really a pixie either. Or it is hard. I actually, for the last, what are we in now? For the last 3 weeks,
Yeah.
I've actually been fairly happy with it. And very ironically, seriously, it was about 2 or 3 days before it started to look good. I had an absolute breakdown in here one morning. Like, you know, my husband come in and he's like, you know, basically ready to go. And I was in tears spraying my hair. And like, I was angry. I was upset. I was defeated. And of course, he doesn't know what to do. You know, he's got shaved sides and just pulls back a quick ponytail, you know, like it's nothing for him. I was so defeated this morning.
Yeah.
And I just thought, no, I just don't know if I can keep doing this. And then within days, and I've got to say, I used some of this in the shower, you know, like, and really worked it in and everything. And then it was all of a sudden, it was like, how can this be the same head of hair that I had a couple of days ago? And since then, it's actually starting to fall into a fairly decent sort of pattern, I think.
Being nice hair for
yeah,
you.
yeah, but it's seriously amazing. Like within days, that
Wow.
that vast change, and yeah.
Yeah. Oh, our self-image, and you know, you can be as strong and as, you know, confident, but then we're all humans, and some days it just gets to
Absolutely.
us,
Yeah,
doesn't it? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. You know, you want to look good. I mean, you know, I made the mistake one morning of, you know, doing a whole routine and going to watch the eldest one of the grandsons play soccer, and it was like 1 degree, you know, and so it was misty and everything. And of course, excuse me, when we got to, you know, to soccer, it was just like I should have just put a beanie on. Like my hair was still damp, like it wouldn't dry for me to break the
No.
car. So I just, and I was just going, oh, why did I do that? You know.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
very frustrating.
Well, Sharon, it's been so wonderful just to hear your story. Thank you for being willing to chat with everybody whose eyes and ears get to listen to this. I think it's one thing to live it, but then it's also such a courageous thing to be able to share how it's impacted you, and, you know, let other people hear from your journey. And yeah, I feel really encouraged by you. And I just wanted to check if there's anything else you'd love to mention before we wrap it up tonight. I mean, we could talk for ages, but
look,
you know.
Absolutely. Look, and that's a problem. I waffle, and you know, like I'll start talking, and then I'll go, well, come back. But look, if there is anybody out there who you know, like wants to contact me privately, you know, absolutely, you know, I'm absolutely up for that. Because while you can be prepared for it, and you can sympathize with people, to be able to empathize with people is a whole other thing. And to have gone through it, you know, once you do know what it feels like and how demoralizing it can be to lose your hair, to lose what you believe is your identity, you know, because I believed it was my identity.
Yeah.
But ultimately it wasn't. You know, I mean, I am my identity. That was just a very visual representation of me. Yeah, I'm still me. Sure, I do look very, very different.
Yeah.
And that will happen. You will look different for a while, you know, if you've been through that. But even a grey transition, you know, like if some
Oh,
women,
that takes a long time.
oh, it's painful, and you just want it to happen.
Yeah.
You know, you just so want it to happen. But just knowing that, you know, like just keep chipping away. And while you think you're going to have the shittiest, ugliest grey hair, 100% guaranteed when it is yours and it's on your head, it's going to be absolutely perfect. It's because it's on you. It's yours. It's what it's meant to be, you know,
Yeah.
and you've just got to let it all come through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Natural looks good on you, Sharon.
Thank you.
Amazing. Well, anyway, everybody, if you would like to connect with Sharon, what's your Instagram profile? Is it
Positively Forever Young?
Positively Forever Young.
Yeah.
I only ever have to type in positive and then it comes up. So
and
I never have to type the whole thing
yeah.
in. But make sure you do reach out to Sharon because, or even just go through her Instagram page. If you need a source of encouragement or just a bright face smiling at you, she is exactly that. So thank you so much, Sharon, for sharing with us tonight. And I hope it's been educational for people and just inspiring and an encouragement to anyone who's maybe in a season that Sharon's already lived through. So I hope this is something that's given you some insight and some inspiration. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Amazing. Oh, Marcel, thank you. What an amazing conversation. Great perspective and attitude. I do agree.
Thank you.
Amazing. Well, we will see you guys all around. And if you have any other questions about this, you can just comment on this video and either myself or Sharon will answer them as they come up.
Absolutely. So, yeah.
Amazing. Thanks, well, thanks so much, Sharon.
Thank you.
And
all right. Thank you.
See you guys next time.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.